Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the animated film from Pakistan called The Glassworker. I must first caveat this film review by making clear I'm not a huge fan of animation. However, I appreciate the genius of Ghibli and films such as Flow, which I did enjoy, but again, not my favourite sort of film. So The Glassworker is a Ghibli-inspired animation which sees a pacifist glassworker raise his son in an area of Pakistan where there is conflict over disputed territory. His son falls in love with the colonel's daughter, and the film explores whether the family's pacifism can ever enable this relationship to survive. Now, watching this film, there is an obvious reference to Ghibli and a huge influence in terms of the design of the animation. However, it's still got its own Pakistani identity, and there are also elements of the Afghan animated film, The Breadwinner, which provides its own unique regional identity that separates it from the likes of Ghibli. There's also the fascinating aspect of how it explores some of the conflicts that we see today between India and Pakistan, and that rich and brutal history that has existed in that area. As well as my typical lack of emotional engagement with animation, I also felt there were times where there was an overuse of emotive music to really try to create this emotional intensity that to me just felt a bit off. At the end of the day, it created a real sense of melodrama, which was quite off-putting and disengaging. And I think it doesn't quite tread the line between an animation that could be for children and adults and an adult's animation. There are certainly extremely juvenile elements to it, which there's nothing wrong in doing that. However, there is also quite bloody and traumatic scenes. So it feels very uncertain who is the audience. Is this meant to be for children or is this an adult film? And if it's an adult film, not for children, some of the decisions about how it presents are too childlike and it doesn't necessarily pay off in terms of the storytelling. This was Pakistan's Oscar submission at the last Academy Awards, and it follows this very recent trends of really quality cinema coming out of Pakistan. Joyland was my favourite film of the year it was released. In Flames was in my top 20 films of the year. And while The Glassworker is not in my personal rankings of that standard, I do feel it is of a standard for an animation film very high and people will really love it. So for the film The Glassworker, I would give it 3 stars. I would actually probably say the animation alone deserves 5s, but it's got some flaws as a film, which knock a couple of stars off. But if you're a fan of animation and you can deal with bloody and traumatic scenes, I think this is a film for you. And if you like this video, please do like it and subscribe to my channel, Global Film Pool. And please do look out for more reviews of Oscar submissions, as well as news on the Best International Feature Film Academy Awards. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.